So give me a second here while I get everything situated. And if you're new here, we got a little button up at top that you can share with your friends and invite some people over to join us. There's some little hands there by Gina and I Speed. So if you like something that you're hearing, you can give us a high five. And there's also a little message button down in the corner. So if you have questions, feel free to ask those, and we will try to answer your questions here at the end. So are we ready to go?
I think so.
Time is at 2:01. We'll get started. If you are new to me, my name is Angie Nelson, and I own theworkathomewife.com. My site helps people find legitimate work-at-home jobs and home business ideas. And I started my virtual assistant business way back in 2007. So it's not something that I do a lot of anymore. And since that's what we're talking about today, Gina is joining us from the Horky Handbook, and she is really active in this industry right now. So she is going to be helping us out. So Gina, do you want to give us a quick little introduction and tell us about your background in the VA field?
Sure. This is my first time being on the other side of the interview on Blab, so it's kind of fun.
Yeah.
So my name is Gina Horky. My website is horkyhandbook.com, obviously a play on my last name. And I am the founder of that website, as well as a couple of courses, 30 days or less to virtual assistant success, and another one for freelance writing. I started off as a freelance writer. Before that, though, I was in personal finance as an advisor and a support person. And I think we maybe lost Angie, but I'll keep going. So I worked as a part of a large practice that managed a lot of money, and I had some of my own clients. And then I also helped them to keep their business running smoothly. And so just much like we lost you there, but I kept going.
Sorry, thank you.
That's all right. So anyways, I helped that practice in person, and now I do that from afar. I have 2 kids. They are 2 and 4, and my husband is a stay-at-home dad. So he quit his job just after our daughter was born almost 3 years ago now.
Very cool. All right. So I think where we're going to start today is a lot of the questions that I was getting ahead of time were from people, not sure of the experience that they need to get started as a virtual assistant or some of the things that they can offer. And I think there's a big misconception. People think that they need to have some kind of special training or a special degree or something to get started in this industry. And one thing that I like about the virtual assistant industry for those people wanting to work at home is that there's so much diversity. You can offer, start off with really entry level kind of skills and get yourself going and learn as you go. So do you want to tell us some of the things that you're seeing in demand right now that maybe people that are joining us already have those skills that they can get started with?
Yeah, definitely pull from your experience. So look at, your career experience. It could also be like your social experience if you've headed up organizations, or even just skills that you use every day as a mom. But what's in demand, we came up with a list of 125 services that you could offer as a VA and get paid for. And they end up lumping into different categories. So it could be everything from like web and blog management to social media, email management. Most people think of a virtual assistant and they think data entry. And I would say that is actually maybe like 5% of what people do. But it could be things like helping an entrepreneur with their expenses and bookkeeping. We lost Angie again, but I'll keep going. And basically anything that an entrepreneur needs help with, either that they don't like to do, or it takes too much time on their end and they're looking to do more important things like work with clients one-on-one. You can take that off their plate and charge them for that, and hopefully they'll be able to scale and make more money by hiring you to help.
Great. And one thing I know you are talking about, pulling from your experience and things that you've already done. When it comes to, do you have some places that you like to refer people to pick up new skills? I know like Udemy has some things, and there's a lot of the tools that you use in the, as an online business owner, like Hootsuite or Facebook even has a, like a little university now that will teach people, how to master those skills. Are there places that you see a lot of people are able to quickly pick up some of the things that they need to know? Or even running a virtual assistant business, I think you have to learn some of the basic online business skills for yourself. Yeah. Even if you aren't offering them to a client, learning things like how to do social media and things like that. Where do you think is a good place right now for people to pick up some extra skills?
Well, my best friends are Google and YouTube. Used it. I was filming some video for the version 2 of the course before this, and I got a new laptop, and I didn't want to, film them all on Blab and try and do that. And so I had to figure out how to use Movie Maker and then how to transfer a file and all that fun stuff. But anyways, most information you can learn for free. The thing is like all the entrepreneurs are going to use different tools. So you can't go into a relationship knowing everything, and they're going to understand that as well, especially if they're based online. So I think just having that openness to learning new things is really important. But then as that part of that list, that 125 services that I talked about, we're trying to build that out so that maybe there's something that interests you that you don't know how to do, and you could click a link and that would bring you to a reputable and free resource in order to learn more. Because I can't teach everything in the course, sure, for example.
Sure, and I think that it's important when you're getting started. I know that a lot of us, when we first got started, it was you have to try to offer so many things so that maybe somebody will want something that you have to offer. But what is your recommendation, when somebody comes to you and wants to create a service list that they can go out and start offering? What is your best recommendation for, this is where you need to stop,
Yeah, that's a great question and something a lot of people struggle with. I would write down your top 3 to 5. So peruse a list like the 125 services that I talked about. I mean, there's lists all over too. If you don't use mine, not a big deal. And figure out what you're interested in or what you already know how to do, what you would enjoy doing for pay. And then instead of being the jack of all trades and trying to offer everything, limit it to that 3 or 5 things, get really good at that, and then look for clients that need that from you. You can always change what like your niches are, right? And then the other part of that too is figure out kind of what target market you want to serve. So I've learned that I kind of fell into working with male webpreneurs that have online businesses based in like teaching or products, for example. Again, I kind of fell into that, but now I know that if I want new clients, that's a great niche for me to pursue. So niching is not a bad thing. It's scary because then we think that we are going to be turning a business or turning away business, and that's not at all the case. It gives you a focus. It gives you something to look into. And then again, you can always, always, always pivot if it's not working out for you.
Right. And like you said, when you know who you want to work with, it's a lot easier to go out and find your clients.
Right.
That's something also, do you want to touch base on? I know for me, when I am doing virtual assistant these days, a lot of the times, it's for bloggers and it's for women entrepreneurs. So for me, if I need to pick up work, the first place I'm going to go is to Facebook groups, because there's so many groups out there, that are for bloggers and for women entrepreneurs that, for me, it's just a gold mine. Somebody every day is saying, who's a virtual assistant, or where can I find a virtual assistant? So when you are talking to, somebody new to this field, where do you recommend that they start when they're looking for potential clients?
Yeah, social media is a great one, because obviously people that are hip to online marketing are going to be hip to working with people probably virtually, or at least open to it anyways. So that's a great example. You can also do in-person networking, which is on the exact opposite spectrum of that. So go to some local Chamber of Commerce events, which are usually free or there's a very low fee. Now, I've talked about this with people before. I don't know that you'd want to join your chamber because it costs usually $300 to $500. And for you to make that back, it might not make sense. And usually the only perk is that you get either reduced price rates for community events, or you get in a listing. And in my opinion, being in a listing isn't that fruitful. So you could do more by going out, connecting with people, having coffee, that sort of thing with that, $300 or $500. So in person, you can do social media. I think an untapped area for a lot of people is their natural market. So people that they come into contact with or that they already know. And, that's as easy as, emailing some of the people that know, like, love you, that you feel that trust and respect with, and say, hey, this is something new that I'm trying to get into. Do you know of any small business owners, entrepreneurs, webpreneurs that are building their business, but they're not ready to take on a full or a part-time employee? Because as a VA, you're a contractor. So your clients don't have to pay employment taxes. They don't have to pay you for sick or vacation time. And they don't have to have a spot in their office for you, which is great. You furnish your own computer, your internet access. So it's cheap on their end in that way, but you need to still charge your worth, of course.
Right. And I think right now is a great time to be, back when I started in 2007, literally Facebook and Twitter were just getting online. Businesses weren't blogging. It was something that was totally new. So, trying to even tell someone what a virtual assistant was, a little difficult. So right now, I think is such a great time to get involved, in this industry and online, because it's so many people are open to it now. This
it's definitely
worker is something that a lot of businesses, even the traditional businesses, are kind of welcoming those people in. So don't be afraid to reach out to someone that you don't think, oh, they don't know what I'm doing. They don't, they won't be open to a virtual assistant. It never hurts to ask. There's always that every no is one step closer to a yes. And I think that that's really, and even if they don't want you themselves, they may know somebody that does. So
great point. And I think to kind of build on that is a lot of people make the mistake of going after finding work right away and getting a prospect to hire you right away, because it's urgent for you to build a business, right? To get paid and to develop a clientele. But what can be a lot smarter is taking a step back and work on relationship building rather than just prospecting. So relationship building is different in that you're trying to get to know people. You're not necessarily just looking for work. And so your agenda is much different when you're, trying to find those opportunities. Does that make sense?
Definitely. I'm going to share your link here in case anybody has to get going. So I'm going to share it once over here in the chat box if anybody needs it right away. So other than that, I want to talk about your email course, because I signed up for the free email course that you offer, and went through that, and it's a wealth of information there. It's 5 days, and each day you're offering, something new. I know you talked about that, the big list of services. And from there, where else? Your pitches. That's something that you offered in your email course that I was, a little surprised to see, but definitely something that, that's one of the worst things, I think, is to approach someone. So,
yeah.
What tips do you have for people that are wanting to pitch? It's it's a scary thing, and it's something that you really have to be careful with as well. You don't want to, get too excited when you're sending those emails, but it's something you have to do at some point.
Yeah, pitching is your job until you get clients, right? So 90% of your time should be spent pitching, which is basically connecting with people and trying to find work. I would argue that it's not scary. It is at first, but you'll get over that hump. You'll develop some confidence. If you rip that Band-Aid off and get started today, it's really not that bad. The worst that is going to happen is somebody's going to tell you no, but in reality, it's that they're not going to reply to you ever because they're too busy or they're just not interested, right? So they're not going to tell you to screw off. They're not going to blacklist you from the online internet community at large. Like, that's what people think. And that's not at all what is going to happen.
Everybody else that's online that you're going to contact and let them know about you. That's not going to happen.
So get over that part right away. And then just try and think about, I want to make a connection. So again, back to that relationship building, you need to be of service as well as ask for help. And so if you can lead off by making some kind of authentic connection, because you have actually done a little research on the person that you're looking to work with, which I would highly recommend, because if you want to work with them, you should like them and want to work with them. So spend a few minutes on their website, sign up for their newsletter, get a feel for what they're all about, and then initiate contact. And in that first contact, you definitely can say, here's what I do, and, continue the conversation if you want to hire me or talk about hiring me. But you can also just start a conversation. So again, you're making a connection and you're, leaving that door open for them to reply and for you guys to engage in communication.
Right.
So it's a different way of looking at it then.
Yeah.
Is starting a conversation versus pitching, right?
Right. And that was something that I loved about the email that you sent, was that you approached it that way. And you emphasize how important it is for you to not just send out these cookie cutter, flat template, where the person knows that you never even looked at their website and you know nothing about their business. And how can you help someone that you don't, you have to know that person's business and feel a connection in some way if you're going to offer them some type of long-term value, because eventually, even if you're just working 10 hours a week, you're going to get involved in that person's business, to a point that they depend on you and they rely on you for something of importance, obviously. So,
yep. And everybody can tell if it's, something that you're just copying and pasting. And there's no reason that you can't have a template and start with that copy and paste, but then you're going to tweak it to customize it to them. But I get pitched all the time from everything for like website services, I'm sure you do as well, right, to people wanting to guest post. And they don't even know my name. Right. And my name is Gina. And it's all over my website. Right. And
what you're telling me has nothing to do with what I'm doing. So why are you bothering me? Exactly. So do you guys want to ask us a couple questions? I'm trying to watch over here on the side, but maybe I missed some. So if you have some questions, go ahead and pop those over and I will keep an eye on this here. Gina, what else do you think we need to know as far as what's going on right now? What's important, that you're telling your students in your community as far as what's happening right now? This is such a fast-moving industry. Having an online business is a fast-moving industry. So what do we need to, keep an eye on? What's coming up? What do we need to know?
Okay. So as far as like the virtual assistant industry as a whole, some of the reasons that I think that it makes sense is that you can earn while you're learning. And, I have become a much better online business owner because of supporting some influencers, right, that are really great at online marketing and sales funnels and all of these fun things. And so I've just learned how to not only use a bunch of tools, but I've also learned how to apply really great strategies to my own business. And I wouldn't have had that opportunity just reading blog posts and trying to figure it out on my own. So that's one thing that I think makes for a really compelling reason to start this type of work. Another reason is that it's a great way to introduce some predictability into your pay. So right now I have 3 clients that I work for very part-time, and I could support my family with that money, which is a great security to me in my online business because I'm the sole breadwinner. My husband stays at home. Our kids are toddlers. And, I quit my job with that leap of faith. And it was because of my first VA client that I was allowed to do that then, because I knew kind of how much income I could depend on. What else do you want to know?
Someone's asking about the categories of assistance. And I think that's something that you, as being someone who started as a freelance writer and, moved over to this, there's a lot of cross, when we're talking about writers and VAs and social media managers, there's a lot of, what do you want to call it? Blending.
Crossover, I think is right. Yep. And I think that it's important to state, like a lot of people think then that you have to be a fantastic writer in order to be a VA or vice versa. And I don't think that's the case. They can be complementary totally. And that's where like being a virtual assistant, being a VA can mean so many things. Because like you said, it can mean social media, it can mean blog management, it can mean, content, it can mean the inbox stuff. So they're asking where they can find that list. And I think that you posted the link to the free course. Is that correct?
Yes. Is it in the first email? I can do that again.
It is in the second email. So again, the free course is 5 email lessons long. So it kind of covers one lesson per, topic. So the first one is more of like what would make you a good VA. The second one is around what services you can offer. And then it gets into pitching and, sourcing clients as well. So it's great. It's completely free. And I hope you take it. I've gotten lots and lots of compliments. I've only had it around a couple months, but people are putting it to work and finding clients, which is my favorite part.
Definitely. And it was something that when I read through it, it's very actionable. It's not, fluff material where it's just nothing that you can do. Every day is something that you can take that news and get started, put it to work. And this is something that you can get started on so quickly. So it's when you're considering getting started as a virtual assistant, you don't necessarily have to think of it as this is going to take me 6 months to get started. It's something that if you are, ready to roll, you can be sending out emails by the end of the week. Once you know what your service lists are going to be and things like that, you can get started really quickly. So,
right. And the only equipment you need is, a laptop or some kind of computer and internet access. I started with our old laptop. We did have the internet. I had a dumb phone. And then I actually operated my business off a Chromebook for almost 2 years, which is, a very basic machine. So you don't have to have anything fancy because everything is in the form of an app these days.
Very cool. Okay, let me make sure it's Angie's.tips.va free. Sorry, I transposed that there, but I'll get it put in here again. And that's going to go straight to Gina's free course, which I highly recommend that you sign up for if this is something that you are wanting to do, because she is going to give you a lot of, actual material that you can get going on. So
Terry has a question for us. She's inquiring about needing a business license to run a virtual assistant business. And I think that's state specific. So I'm in Minnesota. I don't need a business license. When I started my freelance business in general, I had nothing special except for my own name and social security. Since then, we set up an LLC, turned S Corp. I have an EIN and all that fancy stuff. But again, you can get started without all of that to make sure it's viable for you first. You might want to check with your state, though, if you need some kind of business license. I don't know enough about them because we don't operate that way here in Minnesota.
How about apps? What kind of apps are you using? I know that, what are you using to, run your day-to-day business as far as are you tracking time? Do you bill by the hour? Or are you strictly service packages?
Yep. I started hourly. I hate time tracking. That's why I escaped, that 9 to 5 type arena, because I don't want to just work for trade hours for money. As far as what programs I use, I'm a very low key technology kind of gal, which you probably have surmised by now. But I love Trello to keep everything organized. It's free. And then I'm also in love with everything that Google provides to us. So Google Tool Suite is everything from Gmail to Google Calendar, Google Docs, which is just like Microsoft Office, except for it's web-based and you can work from any computer by logging in. YouTube is also underneath that. What else am I forgetting? Google Voice, which you can get your own free cover phone number. So I have an area code that's very close to the metropolitan area that I live. And then it rings to my cell phone and to my computer, so I don't have to give out my personal cell phone number. So Google Tool Suite, totally, and Trello would be the things I would check out first.
Great. Anybody else have any questions? No? Anything else we need to know, Gina? What else should we?
Oh, we could talk all day, I'm sure, but... For anybody that's interested, I would say give the free email course a try and then just get started. I think the biggest thing, whether it's VA work, freelance writing, any other freelance opportunity or small business opportunity, is people don't get started. They don't put themselves out there. They don't take the first step and the next step and the next step. So my mantra, which I have owned over the last couple of years, is why not me? Why not now? So you'll find that all over my website because it empowers me. I'm nothing special. I have a college degree, whatever, but I'm not anything different than the rest of you out there. And I've been able to have quite a bit of success because I keep trying. And I fail too.
Right.
Totally. And I tell you about it on my blog.
Right. And I think, what you just said is so important, regardless of what direction you want to go, what course you decide to sign up for, what person you decide to listen to. You're not going to get anywhere if you don't put in the work, and it's just with freelancing, a lot of it is just getting started, just getting your first couple of clients, because once you do get that ball rolling, the leads start coming in by themselves. Somebody is referring you to somebody else, and you're getting yourself out there and people are starting to trust what you can do and what you have to offer. So this isn't going to be so hard all of the time. It's just getting that ball rolling and getting yourself out there. And then the people are coming to you and you're turning people away and you're referring people to somebody else. So all you got to do is get through the beginning part.
And do a little bit of faking it till you make it. And the way that I teach people to do that is always with, honesty. So you're not lying about your skill set or any of that good stuff. But instead of saying, like, I just started a virtual assistant business, hire me, you could say, hey, Facebook or where we're going to post it, I have capacity to take on one new client right now. Do you know an entrepreneur that is in the realtor space or whatever niche you decide to pursue? And it gives somebody the opportunity to help you because you gave them a very specific parameter to work around. And again, you have that confidence as well versus saying, hey, I just started a virtual assistant business. Do you know any small business owners? Well, nobody comes to mind because you don't give them anything to go on.
Right. Okay. Anything else? I'm so glad so many people joined us today.
Yeah, thank you so much for taking the half hour out of your day to listen to us blab. Yeah. I love the name of this app.
Yeah. It wasn't so hard, thankfully.
And it's free.
Yeah. All right. That's the link to Gina's free email course is going to be angies.tips/VA free. And you can catch her at thehorkyhandbook.com.
Except for without the. A lot of people get that confused.
horkyhandbook.com. Right. Okay.
Yep, just like my Twitter handle up there with a .com at the end.
Great. So we will, and you guys, I'm sure Gina's the same way. If you have questions afterwards, feel free to send us an email. We will go ahead and help you out any way we can. So get in touch. Make sure you're following us. And thanks, everybody, for joining us. I appreciate it. We'll talk to you all later. And watch for the replay. I'll send you a link to it as well. So we'll get you guys going. We'll talk to you later, guys. Thank you. Thank you, Gina. I appreciate it.
You bet. Have a great day.